Hi everyone, this is Elena of the Witches Box, and I'm here today with another episode of Witch Booktube, and today we're going to be talking about Sacred Smoke by Amy Blackthorn. It's a small book, 150 pages from start to finish, but it packs a lot. We had this book along with another book for our February Witches Book subscription send out, and Amy Blackthorn was gracious enough to join us for our end of the month live book coven gathering, and it was amazing, particularly with the pairing that we did. So you're going to get a chance to see my book review for that book probably in a week or so, sometime in the next couple weeks, depending on when this one lands. But I wanted to do them separately because even though they dovetail really well together for the conversation that we were having for our book subscription live gathering, they do warrant their own place in their own booktube review just because they are separate topics, and I just had different things to say about each book individually. But before I get into all of that, let's talk about Amy Blackthorn, who I'm sure most of you know. If not, look her up. She's done amazing work, prolific writer on magic and herbalism all over the place. So go check her out. Links to her books and this book will be down below. So Amy Blackthorn has been described as an arcane horticulturalist for her lifelong work with magical plants. Certified in aromatherapy and ordained through the Griffin's Grove School of Shamanism, Amy also teaches hoodoo. Through her company Blackthorn Hoodoo Blends, that you can find over at blackthornhoodooblends.com, she creates tea based on old hoodoo herbal formulas. Amy lives in Delaware. You can visit her online at amyblackthorn.com. So, Sacred Smoke. Here's the thing. I chose this book because in it there are quite a few simple and what I think are core and important practices to incorporate into your day-to-day. And the other book that we talked about along with this book was all about creating rituals for yourself. I'm sure you know what book I'm talking about. So I wanted both books together because I feel like we talk about Sacred Smoke in so many other ways rather than what I find to be probably the most productive. Right now in our conversation, it's been going on for a couple of years, there is a lot of talk about the misappropriation of smudging and using sage and smudging, which is a Native American tradition. It has its own specific context culturally, and we have all who are not of that culture misappropriated it and used that word in a way that's inappropriate or incorrect, right? And so then there is the inevitable arguments and back and forth debates that go on the internet about, well, what are we supposed to do? Why can't we use smoke to cleanse our space? It's like, wow, everyone else does it. Why can't I do it? And it devolves into this very simplistic argument that doesn't really lead to anywhere constructive. I think that this book is an answer to that conversation, particularly because, yes, cultures all over the planet have been using smoke to purify, to cleanse, to create spell work. And we all are able to use sacred smoke. We all come from lineages that have used sacred smoke in a variety of ways throughout time. Understand that smudging as a Native American practice is a very specific and its own thing. That does not mean that you can't use smoke to purify, to offer up devotion to a deity or to plants or to land spirits or to entities. We are all free to use sacred smoke, but understand the cultural context in which you're using it. I really appreciate and really respect the work that Amy did in this book because it addresses that, as well as giving all of us formulas and rituals with which to use sacred smoke in our day-to-day practices. I really appreciate her writing. Like I said in the beginning, it's a small book, but with a lot of information. It's not quite the same, but similar experience that I get when I'm reading Jason Miller's books. His writing flows really well, and he packs a lot of information in his books. This felt the same way to me. It flowed well. It's accessible. There isn't any fluff. It just gets to the point. It's incredibly educational. And I felt like at the end of this book, I got a lot. Even though when you look through it, some of it looks like, oh, that was a really simple summary. No, but I think that there's an economy of words that Amy Blackthorn employs that I really, really appreciated. So she addresses all these things. She also addresses the very real issue that we are all encountering. I am really encountering this on a day-to-day basis because of the Witches Box, because I send out herbs with every box. We are really depleting our planet of these natural resources. And so she speaks a lot to the different herbs that we like to use that are being over harvested in a way that is hurting both the plant as a species, but also our planet. So I love that she spoke to that she gives you indication of which plants that she's speaking about are over harvested. She speaks to ethical resources in which to order the supplies that you need in a way that is also contributing to the ethical practices of cultivating this plant and harvesting this plant. So all of those things are covered again. And I feel like I keep repeating this, but in what feels like a super small, fast read book. So I loved it. I think that for those of you who have been part of this conversation for a while and are confused, we get this question often. People are really confused. Well, if I can't smudge, then what am I doing? It's important to educate yourself on the conversations that are going on and why it's important to be sensitive to closed traditions, right? Because they have been misappropriated for so long. There are options and we are not limited. We just need to educate ourselves in order to feel a much broader terrain with which to work in, right? This book addresses that in a beautiful way while also giving you formulas and practices and information on specific plants and why they're good for what. All of those things in this lovely little compact, easy to read book. I love it. All of that to say that I recommend it. I highly recommend the book. I think she did a beautiful job with it. It's one of those easy to read, information packed books that will leave you with many more tools and many more options with which to use this beautiful tool. So here's the table of contents. There's an introduction. There's a chapter called Accessible Purification, what everyone needs to know before starting a cleansing practice. Smoke bathing, starting with the self before reaching outward. Hearth and home, keeping your family whole in trying times. Up, up, and away, sacred smoke for purifying your home. Spells using incense, dragon's blood, incense, and sage. Oh my. Rock and roll lifestyle, adding crystals to up your game. Plants, growing your protection or farming it out. Recipes, and then just call the whole thing off when not to reach for the sacred smoke. Again, this is a short and sweet booktube review, but I really recommend it. She did a beautiful job. I love the cover, the photography, it's beautiful. There isn't a photography inside, but I just really love the cover, and it's in that yummy matte satin finish that I always think is amazing. Get it. It's lovely. The link to this book will be down below. Amy has done a couple of other great botanical books that I think, I'm trying to remember what season it was, but we have given away both of her botanical recipe books in a couple of our witchy book giveaways. I want to say maybe last winter and last fall. Maybe, I'm not quite sure, but worth the read, worth the buy. Definitely one of those things that you need in your arsenal for your daily practice. That's the other thing I want to really quickly say. We talk a lot about practices here and the importance of creating practice for yourself daily, even if it's just a 5 to 10 minute meditation each morning to start your day. These practices in this book are simple, they're accessible, and they are part of maintaining the sacred in your day-to-day while tending to your mundane. I think that those things are important. The whole idea behind cleansing your home, cleansing the space, is about tending to the energetic environment that you're in. It is, to me, just the same as and just as powerful as what we think is super boring and super blah, which is clean your house. Literally clean your house. When you clean your house physically, clean your house energetically. That is just one of the many things that you can do with smoking your home. I can't say enough about it. I also really appreciated having her. She shared so much in our live book coven. So what I'm going to say is this is the plug. A couple of you have been like, I've been thinking about the book subscription. I'm not sure. Do it. It's a really great price for getting 2 amazing books each month and then getting an opportunity to sit with the authors. I'm telling you, it is one of my most favorite things ever. I geek out, I fangirl out for this last live book coven that we did for this book and the other book, which was the February books. We had Amy Blackthorn, obviously, we had Phoenix LaFay, and we had Guion Raven, and it was a wonderful time together. And it was just amazing to be able to sit there and not only have conversation with one another in terms of our witchcraft and magic, but then also receive wisdom from these amazing writers. It was amazing. So the link to the book subscription will be down below. I highly encourage you to join in because really, it just gets better and better. So much better and better. So Sacred Smoke by Amy Blackthorn. I keep covering her name, but there it is. Links to this book will be down below, as well as other books that Amy has written. And that's it. I want you all to have an amazing week. and we'll see each other again later. Bye.